Spartans.
Spartans?
Spartans. 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 Spartans.
For life.
For life.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hey. Happy spring. It feels like spring, finally.
Finally.
Yes. Well, this is Kylie speaking. I'm Kylie Moss from the Office of Alumni Relations.
My name's Scotty Sechrist. I'm the Director of First Year Experience and Transitions.
And I'm Kyle Grubbs, Assistant Director of Admissions Outreach.
Fantastic. I love this time of year. Yeah, it's spring, and you'll probably be able to hear the lawnmowers going past. I love the weather, obviously, but also this is a really exciting time for us at Manchester because we are preparing to see off our seniors through graduation. Tier.
I am sad. I had a senior I was talking to, and I'm like, I can't even talk to you. Like, I wanted to cry.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the great things about Manchester University is over the course of the 4 years that a student is here, we make really strong connections with them. We see them learn and grow. And it's just, graduation is such a fantastic way to put a cap on all of that and to see them off into their new adventures in life. And yes, it is sad, but it's also really exciting.
So exciting.
Yeah. But another, on the flip side of that coin is we are working really, really hard to bring in a new class.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. And by we, I mean mostly Kyle. Yeah.
No.
Right. I get them after.
Yeah.
Yes,
School.
exactly.
Yeah, you get them now. Uh-huh.
Yeah, and so in this second episode of SPF 30, we're really excited about that because we've done more than one now.
And I just ordered sunscreen.
Ooh,
So
yeah, look at
it's
that.
official. We are
Wow.
SPF 30
Yes.
forever.
I
so
love
excited.
that.
Yes.
But you'll later on in this episode, you'll be hearing from Brandi Chauncey, who is the Director of Admissions, and Adam Hohman, who is the Assistant Vice President of Enrollment Management and Marketing. They're going to talk to us about what it takes to get a fantastic incoming class. And so that's really what this episode is all about. Again, remembering how awesome our seniors and our graduates are, while also getting super excited for a new class. That new class will be coming in, and they've already started signing up for orientation dates.
So excited.
Yeah, and we have a lot of folks signed up for those orientation dates. Those orientation dates are on June 11th, 13th, June 20th, June 28th.
How many times have you written that down?
Okay, so let me tell you a little story. Last year, one was on June 18th, and I can't get that out of my head, and so I keep messing that up. But I got it right. It's 11, 13, 20, and 28. We need everybody to sign up for one of those. Orientation is required because it's such an important part of a student's transition. If you have not signed up, you can definitely get in touch with your admissions counselor, or you can go to your personal MU page, your Pearl page, and sign up online there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Definitely connect with your admissions counselor if you're feeling like you're missing anything, you're not signed up for orientation. Well, we got all these things for you to do. Housing form, placement exams, fun and daunting at the same time. It's great.
Yeah.
We're so excited.
yeah. And my office has been calling students, both to get them excited if they've signed up for orientation days, and also to help those who haven't signed up for orientation days yet do that. So be looking for a call from me or someone in my office. What else, Kylie?
Oh, what else? What else? Well, we have commencement this weekend, I should say. Well, actually this week, because it is more of a celebration almost every day for seniors. But I always look forward to commencement. It's just like you said, just kind of like a joyous time, and you look at this current students that are helping you put on commencement, and you're like, oh yes, I get you for another year, but then, or 2 years or whatever, but then you see your students cross the stage, and it's like, I don't know, it's a really happy time for me also, and then I get to kind of welcome them into the alumni community and the Spartan for life.
That's really awesome. And one of the other things that I wanted to talk about, really briefly, of course, is that at Manchester, we are very fond of our traditions. And actually, this year, we're starting a new tradition.
Oh, really?
Yeah, super exciting.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
So, a few weeks back, someone donated a very large rock, and it's called a spirit rock. It's located outside of the Academic Center, right in front of the Welcome Center. And so later today, I'm going to go paint it, and it will be a way to celebrate our graduates. But you should definitely stop and get your picture taken by the rock. And we will be painting it, and student organizations will be painting it all throughout the year to celebrate what's going on at Manchester, to draw attention to causes that we're very passionate about. Other schools do this, and so it's kind of something that I brought from another institution of mine.
I was going to say, I remember this being at another one I was at. Yeah. So will parents and students see that? Then I take it at orientation. Will it be your painting, or will it be somebody else's?
So probably for orientation days, it will be mine / some of the students who work in my office will paint it.
Okay.
To welcome everybody on campus.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I like that tradition.
Yeah. And speaking of commencement, like each of us got to connect with a senior this week and, talk to them about advice they'd give their first year self. So we have those bits of advice to give you. We're really excited to share that, and also a word they want to describe Manchester and their Manchester experience. And so those are just always really fun, like nuggets. Just like make your heart warm and just remind you of why Manchester is such a special place.
So we have two guests today, Brandi Chauncey and Adam Hohman. Welcome to SPF 30.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Our
Thanks for having us.
second podcast. So if you just want to explain each of your roles, I think that'll be a good start.
Well, I'm Brandi, the Director of Admissions at Manchester. So my main responsibility is to help the university build their incoming class every year. So between supervising and helping our recruiting team strategize how we're going to reach out to students, get them interested in Manchester, get them to campus for visits, to providing financial aid strategy. There's a whole lot of stuff that goes on into recruiting, and that is my main thing. I do a lot of little side things, but that's the main. So.
My name's Adam. I'm Assistant Vice President for Enrollment and Marketing. I work to help recruit students to Manchester and tell our story.
Great. And I have to highlight that you're both alums.
From the same year.
From the same year. Okay.
Yes. We were in a couple classes together, and we were even hall directors here together, so.
Oh,
Very cool.
Yeah.
that's a cute story. Do you guys want to be on a
Reality show?
Yeah.
No.
So, can you talk to us a little bit about where this incoming class, like where are students coming from?
Well, Manchester, the last couple of years, our class diversity and just makeup of the class has changed significantly. We have done more out-of-state recruiting, and we've continued to focus on international recruiting as well. So our students come primarily still from Indiana. About 85% are coming from Indiana, and then the remaining are coming from Ohio, Illinois, Michigan, and then recently we've picked up a number of students that are coming from Florida, Georgia, Texas, the Carolinas, and then there's some other states in there. And right now for this incoming class, we do have about 15 states represented with our students that are coming in. We do have some local high schools that we pull students from, and but it's really starting to diversify where we're pulling from. It used to be like we would have feeder schools that we were getting a lot of our students from and would rely on each year, and we're seeing a shift in that. We're still getting students from those schools, but we're seeing growth, which is positive, into other areas of Indiana and able to capture the attention of some other schools that we have not always been able to get students to come to Manchester.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, Brandi mentioned international recruiting. There's a couple interesting stories there. One is people might have heard the success we've had with Ethiopia. A number of students coming in from Addis Ababa and throughout the Ethiopian region. Continues to be an important part of our culture here at Manchester, but for people like me who attended Manchester in the 90s, early 2000s, they might remember the number of students we had from Nepal. It was really impressive. It was a really cool part of our culture, and that really had fallen off. But it's come back. We found in the last year that we've been able to get back into Nepal. We've had 4 students come to campus, and we continue to have more applicants. And it feels like a type of our culture's come around to another generation, and it's starting to become a continuing tradition here in Manchester.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It is really cool.
And to think about how each incoming class is really from across the globe.
Right.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine that someone from Florida knows what they're getting themselves into with our cold winters.
We've had a lot more visitors from Florida.
Really?
And they came in early spring, not a lot in the dead of winter, because I think they weren't ready to jump in 2 feet with that. But they came, and we're in shorts because it's 45 and it's spring, and they're in winter parkas. So it was fun to see them get to campus and to especially make that transition a little bit easier instead of just moving in August.
And I would say that was the first year that we had students from like Florida and Georgia and those areas. We learned from that first class that it's an emphasis on getting them here to campus, that they really need to visit. And football has done a lot of recruiting in those areas, and they've done an excellent job of getting those students who are truly interested in Manchester here for a visit. And so I think that's benefited. And they usually bring like their parents and then maybe a little entourage of brothers and sisters. And so it's fun to have them here. But then they also get a genuine feel for what Manchester's like.
Okay. So like and this is just me kind of learning about this, what is like the basic like recruiting, like what is basic recruiting 101? What does that look like?
I would say there's several different aspects to this. There is the acquiring interest. So there is a level of where we need to find the students to reach out to and engage them with Manchester. So that could be through mailings. It could be through digital marketing, emails. There's several different opportunities for us to reach out to students and just introduce ourselves. There's also a travel component. Our admissions counselors spend a significant amount of time on the road. It used to be just the fall, and now we're starting to see that it's more of a year-round thing. They're doing a lot of spring travel, and then we're even seeing more summer opportunities to head to fairs or events to promote Manchester. So there's a lot of travel, and speaking directly to the students and families, engaging them about Manchester, learning about them, and encouraging them to apply and visit. The other aspects are just once the student engages with Manchester, and that's just what I would call the true recruiting part, because we are trying to entice them with what Manchester has. So we do that through several different things. It could, again, email is really popular. Our admissions counselors do a great job of reaching out to students and connecting with them one-on-one to help the student find what they are looking for. So if it's directing them to a program that we offer or connecting with them about visiting, it's just a lot of one-on-one time. We put a lot of emphasis on our events. We do a lot of events in our admissions office. It goes year-round. Fall and spring are really heavy, but we do have some opportunities in the summer. Definitely not as much, but we really emphasize that campus visit. Manchester is a special place, and we know that once they're here and engage with the faculty, staff, and students, that is one of the key ways for a student to realize if Manchester is a good fit or not. But once a student decides on Manchester, then it's about building the hype and getting them excited to be here.
And yeah, I think Brandi nailed it. I mean, really going through the process. This is my 16th class with Manchester, bringing in 16 different groups to the campus. And I'll say the one thing that's interesting for me is the way that technology has changed. Mm-hmm. We're using things now that didn't even exist a few years ago. And, families don't necessarily want to talk to our counselors on the phone. They prefer a text message. Right. Or if we want to communicate the things, it isn't necessarily about mailing out a lot of paper brochures. It's using digital advertising. And so I've been proud of our team adapting to those things over time and learning more information.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the way we communicated 5 years ago with anyone, even with our parents or our siblings, is different now than it was 5 years ago. It is interesting how that evolves and trying to keep up with the different trends. And
just to do a quick plug, thinking about ways communication has changed. The parent telegram is something we offer as a way for parents to get connected with other parents, as well as we have a couple current students. Our staff is on there as well. It provides more of an instantaneous access to answers as well as a networking component. So be sure to add yourself to our Telegram if you haven't been sent a link. Feel free to reach out to your admissions counselor or anybody at admissions. We'd be happy to connect you to that program as well.
Any popular high schools or trends or students that we're seeing come in with this incoming class?
Well, I was just kind of looking at some information regarding the high schools, and what's fascinating this year is just the distribution. Mm-hmm. There's no one school that leaps out ahead of the others. We have students coming, maybe 5 or 6 from schools across Indiana, going into the states that Brandi mentioned earlier. It's really quite the variety, and we like that. It brings a lot of interesting perspective here to Manchester.
Yeah.
And so I guess I wanted to talk about a student is interested in Manchester, they apply. What does that application process look like, and what are the odds of being admitted, those kinds of things?
Well, there's a couple different ways that a student can apply. We have our traditional Manchester application, and then we're also part of the common application. And so one of the things that we have done is we've really made the process smooth for students. So our application consists of pieces that we know will help us identify if a student can be successful at Manchester. So we have the application piece, we require a transcript, and that's it. But based on those pieces, the questions we ask in the application, what we see on the transcript, give us an indication of if the student, where they are academically, and then of course, how well they would do at Manchester. Our goal is to bring students to Manchester who can be successful. So in the last couple of years, we have adjusted some of our what we look at, our requirements, and just making sure that we are making good choices on who these students are. But once they are applied and complete their application, it's a really quick turnaround for them to get a decision. It's usually within 2 weeks they hear from us, and then we go from there. So if they're admitted, great, we cheer for them and congratulate them. If we need additional documentation to make the decision, we'll communicate that. If the student is, we don't necessarily think they can be successful right away at Manchester, we'll encourage a path for transferring and how that works for the student. And just, in some ways, most students can be successful to Manchester at some point. We just want to make sure they're on the right path for that success.
Yeah, I agree. Scotty, I appreciate your question because I feel that there's a bit of a reckoning for each student who comes into Manchester. We know they're capable of success, but sometimes the best and brightest students have never truly been challenged in high school. So coming in, they learn that they have to adapt their study habits. They have to reach out to faculty members for assistance in ways they're not accustomed to. At the same time, students sometimes who don't have those strong grades at first have had to work for those grades. And they've built those study habits, those skills. And when they're nurtured, they really begin to thrive in the university setting and really become who they're going to be. And it's fun to work with both groups of students. We do our best in admissions to gauge that from the start, but we don't always get it right. So one thing I'd like to say to families to know is it's always appropriate to apply to a school. Even if you think you might not get in, have that conversation with admissions. Go for it, because if nothing else, we can talk about a transfer path, how you might begin at a school like Ivy Tech, and then come into Manchester. Or we might talk about a program or opportunity that would really serve that student best. It's different for everyone.
Right.
So the programs that the incoming students are looking for, targeting, do you see trends in that area? They're looking for education, they're looking for accounting, they're looking for pre-med. Any interesting trends in that area?
Over the last several years, the health sciences and I would say the STEM-oriented programs, there's been growth there. I would say I wouldn't say plateaued, but the growth has slowed, but I think that's because we keep establishing the programs to fulfill those needs. So we've really done some push. Our College of Business, I think, is a really strong program from Manchester, and we have the tradition, we have the legacy there, so that is one area that I think we're seeing slight growth there, not as maybe where we are hoping to be, but I think with the new College of Business, I think that will draw some new attention for students, especially because there's a lot of meaning behind that College of Business now, with the Arthur L. Gilbert College of Business being established.
I agree. We're seeing a lot of trends that push towards STEM programs. You hear about this all the time. sometimes even STEAM, which associates art. And that's something I think that we are seeing a rise in student interest in art and music. So we feel at Manchester there's a chance for co-curricular music opportunities. You can be involved in any major, any program, but if you enjoy playing an instrument, if you enjoy singing, you can do that at Manchester. It's even possible to do that while being a student athlete. So it's a chance to be yourself and to explore those things that you're passionate about.
Do we have a lot of students that also are interested in athletics?
A majority of our applications are student athletes, and I think that's one of the things that any Division III school offers the opportunity for a student to focus on being a student, but also the opportunity to be an athlete. And I think Manchester really embraces that because I think some of our best student leaders in the classroom are athletes. I think they really understand time management, they understand leadership, they understand what it's like to be on a team. And I think that's really what Manchester is about. And so I think our students thrive here, but I think it draws students. We have success in our athletics, and I think students see that. We have competitive programs. Our coaches are respected, so I think it's something that students are drawn to. And I will give kudos to our coaches. They do the recruiting. They do is it's priceless. Like the amount of time they spend on the road meeting students and families, the outreach they do is incredible. The communication we receive into our admissions, working with them directly on students. I think the student athletes have to feel special because of the amount of attention they get. But our coaches care. It's not about the recruiting process. It's about building a team and having students a part of the team and the experience they have. So that's one of the, if you follow a coach on social media or something, the stories they post or things they highlight about their student athletes is really incredible to watch.
Yeah. I've heard good things about the cheer coach, too.
Personal bias.
Yeah, I've had to throw that in there.
Wonderful.
I guess I don't know if we've mentioned that, but I do coach cheerleading, too. We had mentioned the popular high schools, but do we have any other special highlights on this incoming class or anything that makes them stand out?
I think one of the things that Manchester itself has created programs that would draw students' interest. So a couple of them that I would highlight would be our STEM Pathway Academy, which was founded or is supported by a grant, which is great, but it's for students interested in the STEM academic areas. And we will bring in our largest cohort we've ever had for this program, which is intentional. We've really pressed to build that cohort, but those students really have an experience together. They go through FYS together, they are taking similar classes, they have research opportunities, activities, events that they're doing together. So it's very intentional, but I think it's a really strong program, and there are scholarship opportunities for that one. Early Assurance is one that is for our students who are interested in pharmacy. It's for our higher level academic students, but it's a place, a way for them to reserve their seat in our College of Pharmacy. So that is something I think speaks very highly to those students who are very motivated and know what path they're on. And I think something that is not new to Manchester, but that draws them is our study abroad program. That's a huge, huge piece of Manchester, one that we embrace and we encourage students to participate in and experience. But I would say even more the fact that Manchester is such a great experience. There's between our January session opportunities where students can travel all over the world in their with faculty and their friends or classmates. They can experience tropical climate. They could experience ski slopes, whatever is happening during that January session. But then our traditional study abroad, I think, really draws students who are connected and want that experience because maybe they know the reality is they're not going to be able to do it when they're an adult or not at least that for that long of a period. So those are some of that I would highlight.
Yeah, I agree. When I think about what makes our students special, a few things come to mind. One of them is that they seem to really resonate with something President McFadden always says, which is that Manchester is a place where you can become your best self. Mm-hmm. I think we know that students are looking to grow and to learn more, become more capable in their passions. I also think they really embrace the idea of Spartans for life. They're looking for community and connections, and we love that. We love that their legacy becomes a part of ours. And I think the third thing I would mention is that, how do I even say it? It's they're looking for outcomes. These are students and families who are really thinking about the future, and I think we appreciate that about them. They want to know more than ever, what are the job placement statistics, what are the success rates, and we're happy to provide that information because Manchester's got great information to share, but it's something that's different and valuable versus previous classes.
And now, a brief word from our lawnmowers.
We may pause for a
We
second.
might pause, yeah. That is not great.
No, that's not great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Were you going to ask something?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, Brandi, I know that you and I work closely together to make sure that the transition from being a prospective student to actually being on campus goes smoothly. Would you want to talk a little bit about kind of what we've, and I'd be happy to jump in, of course, about what we've been doing and planning?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think there's a series of things, just making sure that we are, what I think from a mission standpoint is understanding the different offices on campus and what they do for students. We need to know that in the recruitment process, but we need to know that like as a current student. So that way we can talk more intelligently to students about the different areas on campus, but then more importantly, how do we introduce them? So there's a series of things that we do. We want to do email communications out, just introducing different departments. We have, every student has their own unique Pearl, and so it's got information about campus life and what is going on there, the resources on campus for them to understand. So with orientation, that is one of the critical pieces for students. Admissions does all of this work during the year to get the student engaged and interested in Manchester, but then orientation is really when they're going to feel that connection to campus. They're going to see and meet the faculty, staff, and other students here. They're going to learn about the resources, and so I think that's a really great opportunity. So if your child has not signed up for orientation, please do so immediately.
And I will be calling.
We do have a couple events throughout the year, especially in the spring, where we try to engage the students more with the current community. So we have admitted student days where we really have tried to connect them with specifically our student life staff, because we know that they are going to be a critical part of the student's experience. So anything we can do, the telegram, which was mentioned earlier, there's a parent telegram, but there's also a student telegram. So I think that's a great way not only to get them connected with other students, but also we do have some student life staff on that telegram to interact if we need.
You know, one of the transitions I'm most excited about for current students and new students alike are some of these changes coming to campus. We're investing more than $20 million in our North Manchester campus. It's amazing. I mean, we're adding things, we're upgrading our dining service. We've got the Chinworth Center opening. We've got residence hall upgrades. There's updates to the library, to the Wilbur's eating facilities there. There's so many things happening. I can't keep track of all of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'll be an exciting year, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
So if parents or students have questions, they can contact me, Brandi, at BC Chauncey. So I'm just going to spell that, BCCHAUNCEY at manchester.edu. And then call admissions at 260-982-5055. And I can be connected that way. And I'm more than happy to take questions or just hear about how lovely everybody thinks Manchester is. Whatever's needed.
And then we can probably get that information posted as well. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll post it with the podcast also. Yeah, thanks again.
All right.
Thanks so much to Brandi and Adam for spending some time with us. Just one quick plug, always about social media as we're talking about transitioning to new technologies and things like that. Admissions has a Twitter and an Instagram, Future MU Spartan. So keep up with us on events that we're having. I'm sure we'll be highlighting fabulous orientation events on those things as well. So make sure to give us a follow on both of those platforms. Next, we're headed to our conversations with seniors. We were able to catch up with 4 different seniors to connect with them about a piece of advice they'd give their first year self, as well as their one word to describe their Manchester experience. So give it a listen.
So, hi Jessica, how are you? I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for taking our call today.
No problem.
So if you could just explain a little bit about you. What are you doing and where are you from? All that good stuff.
I'm from Leo, Indiana, which is around Fort Wayne. I just completed a biochemistry degree,
Yay.
and I also cheered.
Woohoo. All right. And then if you had advice for your first year self, what would it be?
To definitely learn how to study the first week so that I know techniques to study before the end of my first year.
Yeah, that's great advice. I would give the same advice. And then if you can describe in one word your Manchester experience, what would it be?
Outstanding.
Aw. Well, thanks, Jess. I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Zane, can you introduce yourself, give me your hometown and your major?
Okay. My name is Zane Yan. I'm currently a senior here at Manchester University. I'm a business major and sport management double major. I am from Greencastle, Indiana, which is 45 minutes southwest of Indianapolis. Yeah.
Very cool. So give me, what's a piece of advice you would give yourself as a freshman coming into Manchester?
So definitely when I think of me coming in as a first year, I would think don't stress out and don't worry and just kind of enjoy your experience because you're only going to have it once. If I could change anything, I would not worry as much and kind of just enjoy it. And I started to learn that as I went along my freshman year. I was worried about school and I was worried about adjusting and finding friends. And believe me, I did not have trouble doing any of those at all because it's such a community aspect here at Manchester. So I would definitely say just enjoy your experience and try to find friends and find that community, which isn't difficult here at Manchester.
Very cool. What is one word you would use to describe your experience at Manchester?
One word. It's tough to put it into one word. I might cheat here. So I might say life-changing. I know it's two words. We can put a hyphen in the middle. And say, like, Manchester's been very much life-changing for me. I came in here as a freshman, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I came in as exercise science, and then I ended up double majoring, ended up developing a lot of really good relationships that's helped me get my first job with my professors helped me get that first job. Just developing that relationship has gone a long way. With football, I never thought I would go through the things and learn the things that I have with football, and I ended up it helped me get that first job, and it also I got awarded national semifinalist for the Campbell Trophy Award, and that got me a free trip to Stanford where I meet CEOs and very important people, and very much life-changing experiences here at Manchester with, again, meeting a lot of new people because I'm not from around here, so I got to meet all types of new people and develop these great relationships that I'll never forget.
So what advice would you give to your first year self?
I would tell my first year self to definitely get involved and don't be afraid to branch out and make new friendships and to not be so judgmental because the people that you judge in the beginning turn out to be your best friends in the end.
Awesome. And what is one word you would use to describe your Manchester University experience?
Family.
Family.
I feel like that's yeah. Do you need more or just the one word?
Just the one word. I think it's great.
Okay.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, we have Connor Eichenauer on the phone here today. Connor, would you tell us your major and your hometown, please?
Sure. So I study psychology with an industrial organization concentration, and I'm from North Manchester, Indiana.
Great. The first question I'd like to ask you, Connor, is what advice would you give your first year self?
I would tell my first year self and any other first years to get to know your professors because professors at MU are wonderful. I think most students at Manchester would say the professors are their favorite part about the school, and they genuinely care about you. They want to see you succeed, and getting to know them well whether that's just going into their office and chatting about a homework assignment or chatting about life, can lead you to explore many different opportunities that wouldn't have been available to you without their help. And also, they're just great friends and allies to have with you along your college journey.
Great. Thank you for that, Connor. Second question, what's one word you would use to describe your MU experience?
I would say the one word is unforgettable. Throughout my 4 years in Manchester, I've made my best friends. I've had some great academic experiences and opportunities that have led me to where I'll be going next for graduate school. And I've just made some wonderful memories, like I said, with friends, and it's a place that I'll never forget, for sure.
Great. Thank you very much, Connor. I really appreciate this.
Thank you.
Kyle, since you're an alum,
would
you...
Oh, boy.
I know. What would be your...
Put me on the spot.
I'll either say, what would be your advice?
Yeah.
You can either answer that question, or how would you describe your Manchester experience in one word?
Yeah. Oh, on the spot. Well, my advice, because I went from a small high school, and felt like Manchester was going to be a place that I could redefine myself. So, my advice is just take advantage of that. Be the person that you've wanted to be. I think I was pretty shy in high school, if you could believe it. And now I can't really I can talk to strangers for my work. Take advantage of this new start and really push yourself to become the person that you want to be. And at Manchester, we want you to be your best self, obviously. And that's kind of what we strive for.
Yeah. Great
Kylie,
answer.
since you're in a
I was like, I was thinking, because I thought
Kylie,
for sure.
what year?
12.
12, okay.
Yes,
Kylie, you're...
I'm 11.
You're 11, okay.
Yeah, so we went to we weren't in the same class,
No.
but we went to
Yes.
school together, yes. I think some of my advice, and it's probably not what everybody would be thinking, but I was a strong student in high school, but in college, I really, really, really struggled in college. I took advantage of all the opportunities with the tutoring and the writing center. I took advantage of all of the professors, hours that they had available there. So I would just say, if you're struggling, it's okay. It's okay to struggle. And if you aren't struggling, then that's okay too, I guess. But at the end of the day, it's okay that you're struggling, and it's okay to ask for help, and make sure you do that, because that is part of your Manchester experience, those relationships. When professors see you making that extra effort and spending the extra time on starting your paper months in advance, even I was that person. I know nobody does that, but I was that person. But really, take advantage of all of those opportunities, because without my professors, I would have struggled. I don't know that I would have made it through college. And being a 4.0 student in high school, I would have thought I would have excelled. So, give yourself credit and know that we're all in this together. And as employees of the institution now, we're here to help you too. I'm in the alumni office, and I probably can't help you write your paper, but I can maybe help you, or maybe get you in touch with someone who can, or just sit and talk with you if you needed a helping hand or something to that degree. So always ask for help and take every opportunity.
Yeah, can I add a little bit to that, and then maybe...
Yeah.
Okay. So, I've spent a lot of years studying what makes college students successful, and one of the biggest things is asking for help early and often. Early and often, asking for help. In fact, don't even think of it as asking for help, but think of it as part of your schedule. Schedule in time to go meet with your professors. Schedule in time to go to the writing center or the math center. Right. Do those things early and often. Make it part of your habits, and you're going to be great. Yeah.
I think that's great. So, anyway, thank you for spending the last 30 minutes with us. We're excited. Next podcast, we'll have our president, Dave McFadden, on with us, so we're looking forward to that. We also have some fun events that are coming up in June and July and even August that we'd love to have you attend. So with that being said, Shall we cheers?
Cheers! To our students, both our graduating students and our incoming students.
Woo!